My guest is Sayida, Ounissi, an MP from another movement. Sayida will try to shed some light on this year's events. 2015 has been a long and tiring career for many Tunisians. What if you had to evaluate this year, Sayida Ounissi? Forget about politics, forget about about the parliament and all political parties in the country. What about this year for Sayida Ounissi, the Tunisian citizen who spent over 2 decades in France and who came back after 2011 with great expectations?
Yeah, well, first of all, I would like to welcome all the people who are listening to us, and thank you, Adnan, for this invitation. It's always a great pleasure to come back here. I would say that it was a very interesting year. I think I definitely grew up a lot this year, more probably than the last 5 years. It was a very hard year with many important losses in my life. Some of the most cherished people in my life passed away. So it was quite a hard year, but I think that it's also, this way that we grow up and we become more mature and also more patient, and we learn more about life this way with, these trials, these hard times. It's been also a quite hard year for Tunisia, and these terrorist attacks, 3 of terrorist attacks that we had, who also probably made us measure how fragile was the transition and how important hard work was requested for this country, because nothing is granted. Democracy is not granted. It's something that you need to work very hard to ensure it. So yeah, I definitely say that I grew up a lot this 2015 year.
Nothing is granted and nothing is guaranteed. In new democracy, we are at the learning stage, but in 2014 and 2015, we've had successful legislative and presidential elections. Some analysts claim that Tunisia is the only success story in the whole region following a series of popular uprising after 2011. Do you believe that we are living in a fragile democracy and that we are at the learning stage, and that we must be careful because we do not have real guarantees? We have a constitution, we have stable institutions, but this is not enough.
Well, I think more and more that democracy is fragile everywhere. I mean, look what's happening in France at the moment, or look at what's happening in the US with the presidential debate. I think that democracy is never something which is 100% guaranteed, and that's why counter-power is so important, and that's why civil society, the media, all those who need to protect and the democracy and to call for the respect of the legislative texts, the constitutions in our case, for example, and it's a really a long travel. Democracy is not something which like you can come and say, oh, it's fine. I mean, now we just show 100% that there will not be violation anymore. It's always something which exists, and that's why reform is needed, and probably in Tunisia more than ever in this period, to be aware of the fact that yes, we did quite well. This last 5 years, we adopted the constitution, which is quite a consensus one. People are also adopting, more and more the values of this constitution. We are evolving, in the media, in the political discourse. There is reforms in the economic sector. There is reforms in education. There is also, a whole cultural revolution which is definitely needed in our country. And this is a movement which is taking place. And I think we're going in the right direction, even though there is some difficulties, especially in terms of security and economy, but we're heading to the good, direction. Most of the political actors today in Tunisia, in the political landscapes, share the fact that public liberties is something important which need to be protected. Share the fact that we need to ensure an economic development to make sure that people, like this democracy, because, democracy needs to deliver also in terms of, security and in terms of economy. And, to avoid this kind of nostalgia that we can hear from time to time,
to the former regime.
Absolutely, about the previous regime, and people who say, we were definitely living in the best way before because we could afford prices, etc. I think that we need to be responsible. It's not about just be romantic and speak about revolution just as a kind of beautiful things, but to work hard to convince people that this is the best kind of state that we could be in. So and this is the responsibility of politicians as well.
Sayida said that it's been a challenging and a very difficult year. Sayida, what about Al-Nahda and the role of Al-Nahda within the parliament? You know that Al-Nahda is not in the opposition, it's the partner or the ally in a way or another of the ruling Nida Tunis party. Some analysts claim that this has guaranteed a political stability in Tunisia, while others believe that it was a mistake, or the mistake of Al-Nahda party to work with Nida Tunis. Is it an argument for those who believe in stability, or an argument for those who are against this alliance between the two parties, including many people who voted for Al-Nahda party?
Well, I think that it's not a black or white situation. It's a very complex context that we are in Tunisia. I am definitely convinced that the balance today within the political landscape is quite a healthy one, because we have political parties who are learning how to work in a democratic context and in a democratic transition, which is not over, by the way. So we are also learning to know each other, and in the parliament, it's also a great place to get to work together, to work on common projects that are definitely needed for the sake of the general interest and for the building of the Tunisia of tomorrow. And I'm thinking especially about the reform of institutions. This year we worked on three very important legislative reforms. The first one is the higher or the High Judicial Council, the Constitutional Court, and the anti-terrorist law. We have also adopted three finances laws, two main finances
controversial laws.
Yeah, we can speak about it later. One of them, the last one, has been actually
rejected
by the provisory instance for the constitutionality of the laws, and it's fair. It's good to know that we have. I spoke about counterpowers earlier. It's important to have institutions who are making sure that all the laws adopted by the parliament are actually corresponding to the constitution. But to go back to the relationship inside the parliament, another is considered as being one of the driving parliamentary group there.
It is.
Yeah, well,
it is one. It's not just considered as one.
We're trying to do our best to be serious, to be present, to be inside the parliament, to make this place being a lively one, to make it being at the center of the also balance between institutions, to be a place which is also playing its role of control toward other institutions, and I'm thinking especially toward the government. So it's very important for us to make sure that the parliament stay at the top of the public interest, making sure also that the media talk about what's going on in the parliament. From the moment media are not caring about what's going on in the parliament anymore, it will be a kind of threat for democracy. So yeah, I mean, we're trying, as I said, to make sure that commissions are working, that they are delivering on time, that when it is needed, to call for inquiries, and also to call for ministers to come to be asked inside the parliament. And this is quite a challenge, because we don't have the necessary means for that. I mean, if you look at the budget of the parliament, it's ridiculous. It's, well, despite the fact that actually we made sure that we got in like more money for the coming years, but it is still around 35 million dinars. And when you compare it, for example, just for the head of the government, so the Kasbah, basically they got 121 million dinars. And if you look at what the Palais de Carthage is actually getting as a budget every year, it is about 80 million. So
how much did you get?
34. So it's ridiculously less. And you can't expect 217 MPs to do their job in the best way possible, and also to make the parliament being an important institution and playing, completely its role regarding also the balance between the other institutions, if there is no enough budget for that. Because you know what budget means? It's not about MP salaries, and we had this controversy coming back quite a lot during this last year. It's more about making sure that the parliament got enough experts, enough technical assistance, enough administrative assistance, rooms, and meeting rooms, offices, where you can actually receive people, receive civil society, talking with actors, and not being these weak MPs who cannot even say no when there is lobbies coming to lobby for example private interest.
Are there lobbyists coming to lobby for private interest?
Like in every single
sometimes
parliament.
They don't need to come, they just have to find someone who can defend.
Yeah, or some people say that the lobbyists are the MPs themselves, which is a bit, but I think this also is something
some of them, we don't believe that, we don't claim that all of them, but of course this is what's happening in other countries.
Absolutely, but
even in democracies.
Absolutely, but what a democracy do to correct this? They make sure that despite their personal fortune, every single MP is able to do its job properly and to be protected when they are doing their jobs. So to not create a kind of, differences or inequality between an MP who is member of a very, a little party, or even being independent, like being elected on an independent list, is having the exact same means and power than the ones who are coming from big party. And it's easy to say that for me because I'm coming from a big party, So I definitely advocate for more equality between members of the parliament, because this is democracy. And as you said, in democracies as well, lobbies exist, but usually you actually work on laws, and you make sure that the interaction with these lobbies are not going to the point where the general public interest is lost for the sake of these lobbies. Absolutely. So, I mean, we're working on that, and it's quite new because we've been a chamber of registration for decades. this parliament, this Bardo Palais. It's not even equipped, to be a place where people work in a very intensive way. It's not even friendly to work in. I mean, it's too hot in the summer, too cold in the winter, and you don't even got your own office, so you need to think about other methods and places, etc. So yes, but we are in the process of building a more inclusive, a more stronger parliament, and this is good for democracy.
What about the debate within another party and the alliance with Nida Tunis? We know that hundreds of thousands of people who voted for Ennahda were against the alliance between Ennahda and Nida, and it's on the other side also people who voted for Nida were against the alliance with another party. So after 1 year, do you believe the leaders of the two parties, current President Beji Qaid Sibsi and Rajal Ghannouchi, made the right choices, and can you really criticize if there's something you don't like in this alliance?
Well, I think it was, and what we see today prove it, at least for us as another party, that it was a good way to do in a good strategy, because I'm not sure that look at the situation, look how it is at the economic level, at the security level. If we're not together, I mean, it's not only about Nida and Ennahda. There is also two other important political parties who got ministries, and who play also an important role inside the parliament, who are the UPL and FR Tunis. So, and also for other subjects, like I'm thinking about the anti-terrorist law, for example. Even Jabha Sha'biya voted for it. If you look at some specific law projects or some amendment, we are still in a phase of construction. So the more we are around the table of negotiation and discussions, the best it is for the whole process. And if we look at all the counter examples where big political families are excluded from the process, we see that it's not the best way to preserve civil peace, even in the street. So it's all about getting to know each other also as political families, and it's the responsibility of everyone to be in the process, in this construction moment and building moment. So we are more and more convinced, especially now that we have this kind of possibility to look back to the whole year, that it was actually a wise decision, maybe not very popular in the beginning, but today, if you look at, and this is what most of our members think, that if you look at how also quick we learned as a political party, as member of the parliament, as also member of ministries, how also able we were able to learn how to work with other political parties, and this is the model of a transition. The transition is never one single political actor heading and imposing its vision to the others. Everybody needs to be part of this decision-making process, so they feel included on it, so they own it. And this, operation of ownership is very important when you are in the first step of construction or building of a democracy.
Are the voices of young MPs and active members heard within another movement, within another ruling party? Because we know that the leaders of Ennahda are aged between 50 and 70. This is a new generation MPs who lived abroad. Some of them lived in Tunisia. Some of them whose parents were jailed for decades, so they do know the meaning of activism. Do you really have the opportunity to discuss, to say what you have in mind, not to impose, not yet maybe? Well,
yes, there is definitely a very active internal debate inside Ennahda. This is one of our traditions, to be able to speak inside and to give your viewpoints to arguments, and I would say that we also are aware today that it's time to give more place to young people, and not just for, as I say, decoration, or just to say, oh look,
We have women, we have young people, and
it's about to be
like in the government sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah, and you know, all political actors all over the world always play that. But it's not just about, you know, the cosmetic, actually actions, but it's about how to make them be present in the core decision places. For example, as young people in Sayida Nahda, we advocated for a minimum quota for us to be elected in our next Congress. And actually our regional congresses are just starting to organize an internal elections to designate those who are going to represent us everywhere, all over, you know, the country, but also outside of the country for those who are living abroad, because we also are sharing the same system than for the national elections. So even Tunisians living abroad who are members of Ennahda have the possibility to be represented inside the Congress. And we adopted this 20% minimum quota of young people who are under 30 years old to be mandatory.
20%?
Yeah, 20%, which is huge.
So it's been adopted?
Yeah, it's been adopted in our, not the last Majlis al-Shura, but the one just before. And, you know, it's, I mean, for us, it's important because Majlis al-Shura is basically, you know, like the very core place where decisions are taken for the party. And it's always Majlis al-Shura who got the final word. Even when the president decides of something, or the executive bureau, or even the Kutla, you know, or even the parliamentary group. But it's always at the end of the day Majlis al-Shura who says yes or no. So to make sure that there is young people, enough young people who are there, who can speak, who can be member of the bureau of Majlis al-Shura, who can also vote and make their voice heard there, is important. And then, as I said, it's maybe something which is common to all political actors in Tunisia. It is time to take the risk to let young people do things. I see it in the parliament. We are, you know, usually seen as beginners, and maybe, you know, like there is a kind of lack of confidence, you know, between the generations, and especially as most of those who got more experience think that we are naive, or we cannot take important decisions. But I think that we are in a moment where everybody is in its first year of how can we be a political leader in a democratic system. So we are all of us are learning, even though there is people who are here.
Even after 5 years?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, it's the first year of the Second Republic. We're just gonna celebrate it in 2 weeks. So, I mean, to reassure young people about their capacities to do things properly, I am used to tell them, I mean, don't be afraid. Everybody is learning, because even though those who say, we're here since 20 or 40 years, okay, but things were not working with the same, processes, and there is new rules, and we know the new rules. It's not even that we know the new rules, but we are, more equipped to adapt them to this new world, and we are in a new world. And there is changes who are not just, you know, it's not only about Tunisia, it's about the whole, you know, it's something global.
It's something global.
Absolutely. And there is countries who got it and who are living more places for young
Canada.
people. For example,
For the
look
Prime
at
Minister
last elections in Spain. Spain is just here. Canada, maybe, okay, you would say it's an Anglo-Saxon, you know, traditions, etc. But Spain is just here, and we've seen
our French friends, they won't like this analysis if you say that it's Anglo-Saxon culture.
I mean, you know,
with the French influence and touch.
Absolutely, which is a reality. I mean, you know, and being, you know, like also raised in France, I have no problem saying that.
I know, just kidding.
But you know, if you look at Spain, at some points we were together in the same kingdom, so it's a kind of like, you know, they are our cousins. They have the same Mediterranean culture, you know, of respecting the elder, etc. But yet, look at the last, you know, legislative weekend. The two leaders of the main parties, they were under 40 years old. While in Tunisia, the youngest, you know, minister that we have is already 40, and we look at him like, oh, Ziad, you're very young, you can still wait, like you're just at the very beginning of your political career. I'm not even talking about us who are under 30, like we're seen as babies. But I think that it's a wrong conception, and probably the previous generation, is also time for them to kind of listen to us, and also us to not be arrogant, to come like, oh, we're the new yuppies and we know everything and we know.
No, we can work together.
Exactly.
It's not we know and you don't.
Absolutely.
And you have to quit. We can work together.
Exactly. And I tell you that
in politics, in the media, in art, in
communication,
in communication, in everything.
And when I look at the few experiences where we did that in this very inclusive way between generations, for example, in the parliament, where young MPs, they taught more, let's say, experienced MPs how to use, for example, Facebook, or how to use Twitter, or how to communicate, or to give them information about one particular problem that they have no clue about it, to explain to them also, like changes in the society, because they are, by their age, closer to their generation. So when we do that, it works very well. And it avoids the previous generation to make unnecessary mistakes, and the young generation to learn quicker. Well, it's not about me considering that it's unconstitutional or not. There is the provisory instance for the constitutionality of the law, which is.
But you do have your own.
Well, I do respect the decision of the instance, because this actually institution is gonna be, it's a provisory one, but I mean, we can just consider it as the constitutional court. So I think it's also very important that politicians do respect when there is a decision of justice, and especially coming from the constitutional court. And I don't think these people are just here to play. I think they are people who look at what there is in the text, and who gave an objective decision. So I do respect that, and I think the role of the parliament is now to look again at these articles and to see to what extent it can be reformed and amended in order to make it according to the constitution. Yes, it's healthy that the opposition is playing an entire role. I think as well that it's not about the fiscal amnesty that is a project which is not yet submitted to the parliament, and we are a member of the Finances Committee, so I can tell you that we didn't start the study of this project, and it's still under process. But it's also important to make people understand that there is money in the country, and we need to take back this money and to make it enter in the national budget. And it's also about looking at the fact that we are borrowing too much money from outside, and to be able as well to meet our engagement regarding all the
banks
money
and financial institutions.
Absolutely, and help and aid and grants that we are getting from international organizations or friend countries, and we need to give back this money. So we know as well that as a state we need to look at all the ways possible to make money enter in the national budget, to make it very simple when this money is present here. And it's also a manner and a way and a kind of solution, maybe imperfect, also to tackle informal sector and to tackle the informal economy, which today is about 50% of the national economy. So it's way too much, and it starts to be quite worrying, because when you have this much informal economy, it's even the presence and the authority of the state, especially in some region and towards some population, which start to be discussed, so and put in question.
But in some regions they have no alternative.
Exactly. That's why we need to create this alternative. That's why we need to make the state closer to these people. We need to make rules also more easier, more flexible. You know, Adnan, I'm not working only in the parliament. I'm also kind of renting a place in a space called Cogit, which is a co-working space.
Near the Bahraini embassy.
Yeah, and it's actually the easiest place I found, or easiest solution I found to get an office and to work, with an internet connection. It's very actually affordable. It's about 200 dinars. So it's you have basically two formula. So it's like 115 if you want to come from 9 to 7, and it's 215 if you want to come like 24 hours. So it's like very flexible. You have
a small office with
actually it's a co-working space.
Yeah.
So
I do know Cogit, but our listeners are not familiar with the concept.
So the concept is like you have this common, like places where there is tables, there is an internet connection, there is great people, and you can come and just respect the rules and work there, and you get inside a community which basically is full of very smart people who want to help as well with their advices, etc. And these guys, why I'm talking about that, because most of them are actually at the head of little startups like Manuscrit.en, like Tayara.en. So it's like definitely a digital economy which can be, well, we were talking during the break about the digital mania. So all these like companies who startups who can create a lot of source of money for the state, but these guys, when you speak with them, sometimes they just look at you and say, why am I obliged to give so much papers, so much administrative documents? Why I need to go to so much institutions and administrations to get authorization? So yes, we don't have a system which is adapted to the new economy, and not even the old economy, I think, more and more. But it's definitely the time to look at how we can make things simpler and how to create confidence, because this lack of confidence everywhere at every single step of the economic process is actually creating this kind of defiance, and worry toward the state, and which also let people, when they create money, to not pay their taxes and to not even feel that they belong to this community, to this national community, and so they don't feel that they need to pay for it. So I'm saying all that just to tell you that maybe not in the best way possible, probably because of the decisions then of the provisory instance for the constitutionality of the law, but this is what the minister wanted to make also, and this is what his state secretary said, which is try to make economic procedures more flexible, and to bring back the desire for investors, whether they are international or national, to invest in Tunisia and to stay here, and to stop hiding their money in their houses, and to bring it to the banks, and to bring it to the public, so we can actually make it work.
Sayida Ounissi, 2015 has been a long and very difficult year for Tunisians, with 3 terror attacks, Bardous, and the horrible attack in Mohammed al-Khams, in which 12 brave men from the Presidential Guard were killed. But it was also the year of the Nobel Peace Prize. You were living in France, and you often travel to European and North American cities and capitals. Do you think the Nobel Peace Prize has, in a way, changed the view of some people abroad on what's going on in Tunisia, or just an insignificant event in the course of the 2015 events and historic events which took place in the world?
Well, I think the Nobel Peace Prize, was a kind of recognition, firstly, and also a sign sent to the rest of the Arab world, secondly. A recognition because a lot of Tunisian actors, and many of them, showed that they were able to, at a certain point, put back their, very short-term personal interest for the sake of everybody else. So, when I remember the way, the main leaders of the political parties who were included in the national dialogue acted and said, okay, I mean, we can agree on common things. Firstly, to pass on the constitution. Secondly, to have a technocratic government. And third, to organize new, independent, democratic presidential and legislative elections. So I think that that was a kind of exception all over the world. I mean, you won't see a lot of political parties who will leave a legitimate place that they got through democratic elections because they wanted to save the whole transition. And I think this attitude is the one who is recognized by the Nobel Prize Committee, and it's very important that those who got this prize, namely, so the civil society organizations, who do represent everybody. I mean, all of us, we do have a member of our family who is a member of the UGTT. All of us, we do have someone, in our
who's member of the UCHICA, or
absolutely, or who is a lawyer, or who is, has been defended or is close to the LTDH. So this is something that all Tunisians can actually, make themselves identify to. So I think it sent a sign to the Arab world, which is do follow this example. Just be mature and stop acting like selfish kids and talk to each other.
Sayida Ounissi, on this note, I want to thank you very much.